Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for 1,000 subscribers. I have promised this for you guys for quite a while now. Here is my entire vinyl record collection. I'm gonna save like the soppy thank you for 1,000 subs bit for the end, so if you want to go and watch that, you can find it in chapters. If you're new around here, my name is Ollie Rodriguez-Dolman and I have been collecting vinyl records since I would say about 2017, taking it seriously since more about like 2020. The last I checked, I have over 130 vinyls. I'm very much hip hop and rap orientated. There's a couple like outside the genre in this collection that you're about to see. As you can probably see by the timeline of this video, there is a lot to go through. I'm going to be going alphabetical order, and then when we come across an artist in the collection, say like Eminem, where I have multiple versions of their albums, I'm going to go through from chronological order of when the albums were released. But without further ado, here is every single vinyl record in my collection as of August 2024. Starting off the collection is one I got on Black Friday last year, which is Tupac with Me Against the World. Unfortunately, this is my only Tupac album that I do have on vinyl. However, it's a pretty good one to have. Me Against the World is actually a really good track that I really love. One that got in my rotation quite a bit. Dear Mama is obviously a Tupac classic. And as you can tell from the reflections, this one is unopened. When we go through everything in this collection in terms of unboxing or going through and showing you them, but I will where I can. Next up we have 50 Cent with Get Rich or Die Trying, and obviously this is a bit of a variant because this is the Invincible Iron Man cover. Back in this, I can't remember what year it was, I'm gonna say like 2018 maybe. They basically did a whole range of like different Marvel variants of covers, and this Iron Man one for 50 Cent's cover, absolutely love it, especially when you know the story of Iron Man. Obviously you've all seen the 2008 film, and I think it really suits what happened to 50 Cent really well. This one was featured in my most expensive vinyl record video, and I think, off memory, this one's worth about £150, I believe it is. And this one does have a beautiful red transparent record that I will show you. And there it is, right there. Absolutely beautiful. Next up we have Andre 3000 with New Blue Sun. This one, again, is another one that I haven't opened at all. More than anything, I feel like this one is probably going to be quite it's going to be one of those records that increases a lot in value, so it's kind of one that I want to hold on to and I'm not actually going to open, at least for now. I might do in the near future. But I have to say, I do love Andre's just like courage to be able to put out an album like this, especially with the reputation he has as being such a phenomenal rapper and just being like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to play some flutes. I think Andre 3000 has like some true artistry to him, and this album really shows it. This is a really random one of mine, but this is Bebe Rexha with All Your Fault Part 1 and Part 2 mixtape. This was a record day exclusive and picked it up, and it's got a nice blue record in there as well. Next we have Boogie with Everything's For Sale. This was an album that I believe again came out in like 2018 or 2019. This I feel like is a really slept on project. I really enjoyed this one. Obviously I think the reason I became aware of it is because it has Eminem on there featured on Rainy Days. They had a really fun music video, I believe it was, and really this cover does go quite hard. And in case you don't know who Boogie is, you may actually recognize him if you watched the Amazon Kendrick Lamar Ken and Friends show that they did, basically the whole Drake diss show they essentially did. Boogie was actually on the stage at one point and Kendrick Lamar gave him quite a big shout out as well. I'm going to do these next two together. I have a whole video on these two, so go check them out if you want to. But this is the Minecraft C418 Volume Beta and Volume Alpha. Really like this one's cover. This one's fine as a cover, but more than anything, I've got these for nostalgic reasons, and that's why they're in my vinyl collection. I have Cassandra Jenkins. Never listened to this before. This just came with a Rough Trade monthly subscription thing. Cancelled it after my first one, not because it's necessarily bad. It did come with this beautiful cotton candy record though, so that's pretty sick. Now again, something good, and that is Deadpool Wolverine soundtrack, and this is a really good pickup. This would be one of my latest pickups as well. In case you don't know, there are basically two vinyl or coloured vinyl records in here. First one, as you can tell, which is basically Deadpool themed, and it has this black and red, obviously it symbolised colours of Deadpool's suit, and the other side representing Wolverine. Coming with a blue and yellow record, and this one actually has some green mixed in because obviously that's the colour that blue and yellow make. And here is the inside of the gatefold, which is absolutely great shot from the movie. I'm certain if you guys are anything like me, your feeds have been inundated with the Bye 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 NSYNC song from the opening of Deadpool just everywhere, and there has been no escaping it whatsoever. And also, just to quickly touch on the film, Really fun film. I'm not gonna like go out there and say like it was like the best Marvel film of all time or anything. However, I'll counteract that by saying I think it's probably one of the most fun Marvel films of all time. And it feels so good to finally see Hugh Jackman actually take on the actual Wolverine suit as well. And there he is there on the back. And this was such a great pickup to be able to put in my collection as well. Continuing with the D section, we do have Denzel Curry, and this is Taboo. This was basically rated as like one of the best albums of 2018. I really loved it. This was kind of like another sort of step for me, which I would kind of describe as sort of like where I kind of went out of the mainstream rappers. Like my whole thing in terms of getting into rap was Eminem, then Kendrick Lamar, then discovering sort of Drake, J. Cole, and then from there, that's when I sort of stepped down into actually opening the door to everything in sort of like the subgenre of rap and hip hop, or not just those mainstream sort of artists. And Denzel Curry, this album with Taboo, was probably one of the ones that kind of got me to open that door up wider. There's the back of it there. I don't believe this one is a special edition record, so I won't show it, but I think it rightfully deserves to be called the best album of 2018, particularly for the concept that came along with it. And continuing on with Denzel Curry, I also have Melt My Eyes, which is the most recent one. Did it come out last year? I want to say yes. And this one does have the special disc with it, with this beautiful purple that you can see right here. And another thing I will add about this, I'm not sure how, there you go, I can kind of get it with the ring light there, but I really like how you have like this embroidery on the vinyl as well, using the Melt My Eyes symbols and or just text even. Alright, I'm going to talk about him. We have Drake next in the collection, so this is probably Drake's best album. I think that's pretty much like the general consensus of Drake. I think the only other one that could probably compete with it is Take Care. Now, I've got to be honest here with you, I got these ages ago, and I'm not sure how people are going to feel about me saying this. Ever since the beef with Kendrick Lamar, I have not listened to a single Drake song. I really feel like there's a lot of evidence that, like, I guess evidence is quite a big one to throw out there, but like there's been a lot of points and clips and just a lot of stuff that's come out about Drake, mainly from those Kendrick Lamar accusations, that has kind of made me feel a bit uneasy about listening to Drake, and just like his whole persona and how he acts, I just really don't like. And I feel like Kendrick shone a massive light on it, and ever since then, I just don't really fuck with Drake anymore. So these are in the collection, but I don't really care to say much else about them. But it's a bit unfortunate because, yeah, these are really good projects, even though this is basically the Weeknd's album, essentially. And I know some of you might, like, feel a certain way about that with Drake. I feel like there's a conversation to be had there, but for now, I don't really listen to the guy anymore. Next up, we have The Chronic by Dr. Dre, and I could be real, I think I've listened to this one, like, once or twice all the way through, but from memory, I can't remember too much of it. I know it's an absolute classic. It's just one that I'm going to have to go back to and re-listen to and really appreciate. But this is obviously just a classic within hip-hop, and this was another one that I was able to pick up during Black Friday as well. I believe I got 8 records during there, which I'll point out to you as we go through. And the next album I'm about to show is the follow-up to it, which I believe is so much better. Like, not even like so much better or anything, but I just love this album so much. Iconic cover and an iconic track list, in my opinion. Like, you go through this and you enjoy every one, except there is one skip, Pause for Porno. I have a bit of a story about that, where I was basically at work listening to this album in full for the first time, and I was pot wash, so my music, like, I was able to blast it out loud, kind of in my own separate area. And the head chef slash my boss basically walked by, and Pause for Porno was basically playing, and I literally was kind of like, at this point, I'd kind of gone into just like having my music in the background, not really paying too much attention to it, just getting my job done. And I kind of got called out being like, what the fuck am I listening to? So as much as I do love this album, I always resent it for that part of my life, but otherwise, it's fantastic. And this might be one that I end up putting over in that spot one day, because it is that good. Now we're moving into the Eminem section, so honestly, if you are interested in this at all, just go over here and watch the full Eminem video. This is going to be a speed run, except from basically like one of them. Firstly, we have Infinite on vinyl, as you can see here. Then we have the Slim Shady LP, the Marshall Mathers LP over here. The Eminem Show, obviously, I think this is probably regarded as the best in his discography. Encore, which is probably regarded as one of his worst. Definitely, probably, if you ask me. The 8 Mile soundtrack, which obviously features Lose Yourself. Curtain 1, which is the one that I am actually going to speak about very quickly, because this is actually probably the vinyl that almost essentially started my collection. But I will say it's not the first vinyl I ever got, but I kind of consider it as one. This was basically an old friend of mine, basically, I think it was like just past my birthday or something, and he basically decided to buy this for me as a bit of a belated birthday present. And this was also the time where I was almost just like starting to introduce myself to Eminem's music, and this was honestly the perfect album to like get started with Eminem. And I feel like if I were to ever like have anyone like come up to me or just leave a comment being like, oh, what Eminem album would you suggest to get into him, it would be this one by a mile. And even as to just like where to begin with a vinyl record itself, I even think this one's a great place to start with a collection, especially in hip hop and rap. It's got a really iconic cover. There's a lot to just look through within the actual gatefold, and the track list itself is amazing to go through. Obviously it does have FAQ on there, which is gonna turn a few heads, but this one holds quite a bit of sentimental value. Like if this one got traded out for just like another version of Curtain Call, I wouldn't feel as attached to it as I do to this actual physical copy right here. All right, let's get this one off the wall. Because this is Relapse, I'm gonna keep it in frame because I don't want to go through the effort to take it out. I don't think this is particularly an album that a lot of people would choose to put on their wall. This is a messed up album. However, I absolutely love it. And despite what Eminem, I believe, thinks of it himself, I think it is actually quite a, I'm not going to throw the word masterpiece, but this is my most listened to Eminem album. You either love this one or you hate this one. There is no in between. Then we have Recovery. The songs on this one were the songs that basically got me to be a fan of Eminem and the album that I have a massive connection to. This honestly to me is a genuine like classic of the 2010s Eminem. Then we have the Mushroom Mathers LP 2, Revival, which the less said about the absolute better. Kamikaze, which actually comes with a really nice picture disc there, obviously in red camo. Music to be Murdered by Side A with some red vinyl in there, and also it's actually a limited edition picture, which you can see there. And there is the back of it too. Then we have Side B, which is again another limited edition cover, and again with the back, and has some red ones in there as well. Then there is Curtain Call 2. This one comes with orange vinyl records there. And then for some reason I have two versions of the Fortnite soundtrack, which one's like a Spotify exclusive, one's just like the regular edition that was released. And despite going through essentially his whole discography there, we have some limited edition stuff, because of course we do. Firstly with the Slim Shady LP by Interscope that they released this year actually. We have the Slim Shady LP Expanded Edition, Slim Shady XV, which is actually unopened, Marshall Mathers LP 2 10th Anniversary Edition. I'm just going to throw this out here as well. Please, 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 can we get a Relapse like something anniversary edition that comes with refill, because this one actually came with the deluxe edition, and I am begging for a Relapse refill album, at least on vinyl, because I need that. The 8 Mile 20th Anniversary Edition, which I highly advise go and check out the video on my channel if you want to see the whole thing of this. And I repeat what I just stated if you want to see the entirety of the Eminem Show 20th Anniversary Edition. And we also have my most expensive record in my collection, the 25th anniversary of the Slim Shady LP, Zoetrope. Again, go watch the video on my channel if you want to see this one. Those were all the Eminem albums. Now here are the singles. We have My Name Is, which was record day exclusive in 2020. We have the Just Don't Give a Fuck Middle Finger picture disc. We have the Eminem and Rihanna Monster disc as well. And finally, we have the Kamikaze disc here as well. So that is everything from my Eminem collection. And I will just say, that won't be all of it. I've got one I haven't actually unboxed yet, but is here. I'm saving for a different video. And obviously he has just released the Death of Slim Shady, which there are currently 5 variants of that I have at least 4 of. At least ordered at least. So we'll get to that when we get to that. So after everything that was the Eminem release, we now have Five Finger Death Punch. Obviously this is quite a standout from what is usually in my collection, but these were like actually a band that I was really into like during the sort of like last few years of me listening to heavy metal. They're really good, was great to see in concert. And The Wrong Side of Heaven Volume 1 was a great album by them. Another kind of like out there one, which isn't too out there, it sort of fits within the hip hop genre, but it is, or R&B I guess, but that is FKA Twigs with Capri Songs. And this is another sort of limited edition one. It is basically a glow in the dark record, which was kind of like the thing that attracted me to it more than anything, but the album itself is really good. As you can kind of see, it's got that sort of like dull grey, white, I don't know how to describe it, but it's almost like, it is glow in the dark, you know what that means. Now this next one was probably one of the best albums that came out in 2022, and that is Soul Sold Separately by Freddie Gibbs. This one is an absolute banger of an album, and really love the style that went along with this one. Came with a blue variant, ignore this like single one there, but came with a blue variant with like casino chips, and then you've got it there, and then also the casino vibe, obviously selling your soul and all that thing. And that whole theme there, but this was a really good one to be able to add to the collection, because Freddie Gibbs, honestly, probably one of the best rappers, again, of the 2010s era. Okay, so this one was one that actually came out in my last video with my July pickups, and that is Metro Booming and Future with, or Future and Metro Booming, which is why it's appearing in the F section, with We Don't Trust You, limited edition variant cover. Absolutely love it, and it's also got some like really clean, like the way I described it in the video for my pickups was almost a Red Room sort of vibe, with this like apocalyptic red transparent vinyl, which I think is absolutely sick. And it's also got Like That on there, which is obviously what started the whole Kendrick and Drake thing, but it's also got other bangers on there as well. And obviously Type Shit is another banger on here as well. So really glad to have this in the collection, and a dope variant cover as well. Sticking with Future, we have DS2, and this was another Record Day exclusive from 2022, I believe. Could be wrong. And with it comes this blue record, an album that I'm fairly certain is in everyone's collection somewhere. This is Guardians of the Galaxy Awesome Mix Volume 1. Then we have my first Jay-Z one in the collection, which is The Blueprint, another hip-hop classic. Probably what a lot of people will know it for is the Renegade song with Eminem on it, but honestly I really love Heart of the City. I think that's such a good song, and in my opinion this is basically a hip-hop essential that you need in your collection if you are collecting hip-hop vinyl. Another sort of out-of-pocket one, which is Imagine Dragons with Smoke and Mirrors. This is actually a really nice album to listen to. I really like the song Gold, and I have a massive fondness for Monster. But any wrestling fans out there who are around for WrestleMania 30, you'll know what the song Monster means, especially when it comes to Bryan Danielson / Daniel Bryan. I think that song defined me back in 2014, so yeah. And it was one of those I just felt like really belonged in my collection, not only for just that song, but there is a lot of good stuff on this album. I think Imagine Dragons have that kind of like corny thing to them sometimes, but this was a great album in my opinion, and one I'm glad to have in the collection. So we're moving into the gay... I don't know if I should keep that in, I was literally about to say Gay Cole. But now moving into the J. Cole collection, starting with Cole World, The Sideline Story. Not gonna lie, this is my least listened to J. Cole project, not from a bad sense, just from a sense of like, I just really haven't had time to listen to it all that much. I think I've gone through it once or twice. I can't remember a lot of it, to be real with you. Although Lights Please is a great song. And funny enough, talking about another album that I haven't really listened to as much either, we have Born Sinner, and this is actually the 10th anniversary edition of it. I am planning to do basically a whole J. Cole collection video one day, so I'll go through these a little bit in depth more in that video when that releases, so subscribe so you don't miss out. Then of course we can't go without having Forest Hill Drive's 2014 in this, or 2014 Forest Hill Drive, sorry. This is a certified classic, like you cannot argue that. This is just like one of the best projects from that decade and still holds up to this day. Again, this would be in my essentials for you if you are looking to start a hip hop collection. Then we have one of J. Cole's most beautiful projects, which is For Your Eyes Only. There's the inside of the gatefold. I really love the way this has been designed, and then there's the back of it as well. Then we have Kids See Ghosts, which is actually the first like project of J. Cole's I was kind of like around for, and this one I think is kind of like an underrated project at least. Love the artwork on it, and it has some really dope songs on that. And technically his last release on vinyl, which is The Off Season, which when this launched, this was like, I needed this album at the period of time I was in, and this was a great one. And I feel like if we come back to this one in a couple years time, maybe it might be considered a classic. I don't think it's on the level of 2014 Forest Hill Drives, but I still think it's an absolutely great album nonetheless. So we may be out of the Cole section of the video, however that doesn't mean we're out of the Dreamville section, because we then have J.I.D with The Forever Story. Again, this was basically called the best album of 2022. And actually I think this was another one that I got in my Black Friday sale, because this actually should come with some silver discs, which we do have right there. And yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think silver actually like pops that much, although on the video it looks better than it does in real life, so I don't know. I'm a bit mixed on how I feel about Silver as a vinyl. Oh my, and speaking of great albums, this is probably one that I will put in place of the Relapse one. I may even do it after this video, but Joey Badass with All American Badass. My god, this is a beautiful ass album, and this is probably in my top 5 of all time. I was looking for this one for quite a while, and I'm so glad I was able to find it. I believe it got re-released on Amazon or something, and the second I saw it go live, I was not hesitating to get it. So this one is a special one for the collection and one of my favorites. And again, as I said, I'm probably going to put this one on the wall soon. I think I have shown it before, but I'm not going to show the back cover of this because of what it shows. If you want to know what it is, go and look it up yourself. And now a little bit of a somber section, which is Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD was like someone I was starting to get into around the time he actually passed away, so like kind of hit me a bit when that sort of happened. I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was just like one of those like fake things made up on the internet, but this is another sort of like classic album with Goodbye and Good Riddance. Like genuinely, I don't think, like genuinely for the style of music Juice WRLD was, I don't think you could have a better debut of an album as this one, especially with a song like Lucid Dreams. Then we have Death Race for Love, which is just like, look at this cover, it's insane. Like obviously it's based off the video game and going for that like PS1 sort of style look, maybe even PS2. I'd say PS1 more than anything, but it's an absolutely insane cover. I wouldn't say it was like Juice WRLD's like best album at all, but Robbery I have some great memories of from uni, and it's one of the songs I would sing with one of my mates there, so for that reason I really appreciate having this on record. But I think this is probably like his most slept on album, definitely. And then what became his first Postmorphous album with Legends Never Die. Yeah, we have Legends Never Die. Personally for me, I thought this was actually a really good send-off of Juice WRLD, and kind of makes me sad that more albums came out after it. Like from the cover to the music on there, like I don't feel like you could actually do any better. And I kind of wish this was where they sort of ended everything in terms of like the Juice WRLD music, or at least releasing albums. Like the occasional song here and there would have been nice, but I don't think we needed any more albums from Juice WRLD after this. Which then brings me on to Juice WRLD Fighting Demons, which this album, I believe that, I know there is a video on my channel, I just don't know if it's unlisted or not. That video, I basically reviewed this album, and I believe I even titled it something like, This Is Just Sad. And I think that perfectly describes how this album made me feel, because it's essentially just a whole album with Juice WRLD screaming for help, talking about his whole drug overdose, and there's like even a song on here called Already Dead, and it's fucking depressing of an album. There is the Eminem Speaks one in there as well, so there's that, but it just sucks, man. If I do want one takeaway, it comes with blue discs, but there wasn't really much saving this album in my opinion. And then what I believe is the final vinyl in the J section, which is Julia Jacqueline. This is again another album that you probably wouldn't expect me to have. I'll be honest, this was kind of like, I think I went through a period of time on my channel where I was kind of just like buying vinyl for the sake of it. I probably still have a bit of that I need to sort out, but I want to say this was on like recordstore.co.uk or whatever it is, and it was like, there's only 100 or 500 of these certain editions made with the white record, and to be fair, it's a really nice white vinyl record, and I kind of made the excuse to get it for that reason and how limited it is. And you can see how white it is, it's quite a cream colour. And it was one where I didn't even listen to the music before getting it. And I did go and listen to it afterwards, and it was actually a really good listen. And I think it's one my girlfriend would appreciate more than me, but I don't know, I just don't feel like this was really one that was essential for me to get at all. But nonetheless, I've got it and I'm going to keep it. And it's got a nice back cover as well, actually. But yeah, so it is what it is. Now we're moving into the letter K, and we are starting out with Kanye West with The College Dropout. This is an absolute classic of an album. If you're into hip hop at all, you know this album is a classic. I believe this was an edition I got at least last year, but recently I have seen that they've added like a white version of it, so instead of where the brown is, it's basically white around it. Have been tempted to get that version of the vinyl, but sort of left it for now. And again, like I'm probably like coming out of this video, I am going to make a video where I'm like the hip hop essentials that you should get on vinyl. This will definitely be in there if I do make that video. Next up, this was actually one I got on another trip to Brighton that I went on, and that is 808s and Heartbreaks by Kanye again, and this is actually done as if it was like a free LP. The way you open it, it's like a three-way split gatefold, and I absolutely love the way they designed this. It even comes with a CD in the middle, as you can see there. But this one is definitely like one of the most craziest like records in terms of design, and obviously this suits that theme of Kanye, especially with that whole theme of 808s and Heartbreak. Like, I think it perfectly is captured in this with all the colours and the way it's like gone. But obviously it is again like one of those classic albums people go to, especially in Kanye's discography, and you can honestly understand why, and the vinyl perfectly suits how great of an album it is. Now, another version of a Kanye album that is perfectly represented in its design of a vinyl is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. This was featured, this is actually the first record, I believe, or it's definitely the one that's like the preview when you hover over the thumbnail at least. But this was featured in the every vinyl record I got in 2022. And I feel like that's like my most popular video on the channel, by the way, nearly at like 20k views, I believe it is. And I think this record helped it get there quite a bit. But man, this is actually a beautiful album, or just like album to open on record. Like, just the illustrations on this is crazy. And I know for sure they are in here, but basically you can change the cover of this so it looks different, which like I think is an absolute amazing feature, I guess you can call, or like design element that you add to this. But this is definitely a record that I would highly recommend you get, like, if you can. Surprisingly enough, as good as these records are, they're not that hard to find, at least the last time I checked. Like, they're still pretty readily available, so I highly recommend you go and get this if you can. And I wish I could sort of say that's where my Kanye vinyl collection stops. I wish I could say I had Late Registration. I wish I could say I had Graduation. Like, that album I would love to have on vinyl, like, officially. But I don't think I'm going to be dropping 300 quid on that album. And I was about to say then, or on any record, but that would be a lie. But no, instead, it's Donda. 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 Like, man, I think that this is actually a bit of a mixed opinion in terms of the album on Donda. Like, there's definitely some good stuff on it. Overall as an album, I don't think it's that good. And this is really where the conversation of I want the old Kanye comes in. I was never someone who really said that. It was kind of like, I feel like artists need to have an evolution, but Jesus Christ, man, Vultures 2 and 1 was fucking shit. And also, who designs a vinyl record like this? Like, I just recommended the most beautiful, like, well done record in my collection with My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And then I show you this. It's complete day and night with this. This one you would literally struggle to find at night, and you'd want to keep it that way. So next up, we're doing a bit of a speed run because I have made a Kendrick Lamar video on my channel before. Just going to show you the albums, and first off we have Section 80. Good Kid, Mad City. Good Kid, Mad City again, but this is a 10th anniversary edition, and this actually comes with a transparent black ice record. You can't really tell the difference there, but it is a different record than just a regular black one. To Pimp a Butterfly, Untitled and Unmastered. Mr. Morale on the Big Steppers, and this is actually a limited edition version that comes with a gold disc. I would call it a mustard disc. And even though this isn't the correct order, we have Black Panther, which I consider in the Kendrick section because he is the main producer on it and features on most of the songs. So next up we have Man on the Moon, and this was actually a Christmas gift that I got from my dad at 1 year, which is a weird detail for me to remember, but I just suddenly remembered that. But this again is a classic Kid Cudi album, and a classic album in general, genuinely another essential in my opinion. I think this album helped a lot of people get through a lot of hard times, and it's just one of them that I think is probably even more perfect to actually play on record. So another beautiful album, an iconic actual cover as well, one that I think is worthy of going on the wall, and kind of an insane back to it as well. And the only semi-Kid Cudi album that I do have in my collection is Kids See Ghosts. Very unfortunate, we're probably never going to get another project like this because of how damn amazing this was. Reborn, I love that song on this record, and I believe there is a limited edition version of this floating around which has like a blue disc, I think it is. This isn't that, this is just a regular one, but still beautiful nonetheless. So now I have one that I actually haven't opened before. This was Killer Mike. This was the album that won a Grammy. And I believe I probably brought this one up in one of my monthly pickup videos. I've still not sat down and had the time to just like, well, I have had time, I just haven't taken the time to listen to this album in its full entirety. However, the song that features Andre 3000 with Scientists and Engineers, that sold me on this in itself. Oh, and Down by Law, that's another great song as well, but the rest of it, I just haven't listened to, but those two tracks on their own sold me this album. Now I'm about to show you a record that I think probably is in everyone's collection, Miss Lauryn Hill. I don't think I need to show you. If you're into vinyl collecting, you could probably go and look at this in your collection right now. Oh, this is one that I was very lucky to have. So we're moving into a bit of my Lil Wayne collection. Wish I had more that I could show you. I think I only have 2. But I was fortunate enough to snag myself the Carter 3. Another iconic cover and also another essential. And I was looking through his Spotify just the other day, and I actually realised he's got another version of this one, which is kind of like a free LP where you just open it up and it's got that sort of thing like the 808s and Heartbreak record I was showing you. But the amount of good songs that are on this album, and like, if you would ask me a favourite of it, I would generally say Mr. Carter. Like, I love that song to death. Genuinely, that is such a great song. And this album sort of fits that theme of like, when I was growing up, I wasn't like in a household that listened to hip hop or anything, and it was just kind of like one of those things where it was like, maybe it would come on the radio or something and I might hear it, but I wouldn't ever really like connect with it at that point. But then I would do this thing like when I was like actually starting to get into hip hop, and I came across artists like say Lil Wayne, where I was listening to the track list of their old albums, and I would come across songs I was like, oh, it's that song on this album. Despite never going out of my way to listen to the song before, I've heard it somewhere. And this album has a couple of those tracks. In particular, Lollipop is one that stands out. And I feel like sometimes when you get that reaction of, oh, I've heard this somewhere before, and you didn't realise who the artist was, that's when you know there's something special going on. And then what I believe to be my only other Lil Wayne record is the Carter 5. Obviously, the Carter series is like just iconic in itself. But I would consider the Carter 5 probably the first Lil Wayne album that I kind of like was around for, or at least the first like Carter project I was around for. And when I open this, look how hard it goes, okay? I'm gonna like take myself off camera and I'm gonna let you see. Look how hard that fucking goes. Honestly, this might be my favorite gatefold, like when you open it up. That is so badass. And I'm not sure what like people genuinely think of this album. It's not really brought up all that much. I think it's probably the most slept on Lil Wayne project, or at least one of them, because he's got so many. But like in, let's say like in just the Carter series, I think this one does get overlooked sometimes, and it is such a good one. And I remember hearing Let It All Work Out the first time. That made me cry. That was such a brilliant song, and it almost makes me cry every time I listen to it. So beautifully written, so open and honest, so raw. Just, it's such a beautiful song, and probably one of my favourite Lil Wayne songs, so had to get this on record. Then we have some Little Simz, and this is No Thank You. Now this one actually is a little bit different. It's like one of the most unique records in my collection, because essentially it's written almost like a letter, and like the way you open it is almost like an envelope, where you basically have this section which you can then pull up, which then opens it up like so. And this is like one of the most craziest. Gotta make sure it doesn't fall out, because that's basically how it fully opens, and then you pull out the record just like that, which I think is so cool. I love when artists and the people designing their records actually like add something unique to the experience of actually just opening it. But unfortunately, it does leave me with the problem of I need to put it in like the complete different ways of how I would my other records, but I think it's worth it. Then we have the album that actually put me onto Little Simz, which is Sometimes I Might Be Introverted, and the cover is what drew me to the actual album. Like, I don't know what about it is, that yellow pops so amazingly. I love the colour of it, and then the backside as well, a nice contrasting red. Believe it came out in 2021, and what a great album. It definitely deserved to be in that sort of like album of the year conversation, and for good reason. One of the more later pickups I've got as well, which was the Drop 6 EP. This was, I believe, actually my last video as well, so this one does actually come with a blue record. Record Store Day exclusive alert, we have Lil Uzi Vert with Love Is Rage 1, and this one comes with the splatter pink disc. Absolutely love how that disc looks. And if you want to know more about it, go and check out the Record Store Day video I made a little while ago. Now this is a section that I am again going to kind of like speedrun a little bit through, just because I do want to make a video on this one as well in the future, but this is going to be now going into my Logic section, and first up we have Under Pressure. And I think this is one of those albums that put a lot of people onto Logic, and rightfully so. It is an incredible album. I think Nicki on this album is probably one of like Logic's most iconic. Like, to be honest, you go through all of this, Soul Food's another iconic Logic song, Buried Alive, I don't think there are any skips on this. This is also obviously the deluxe version, so you end up getting Till the End, Drive Miss Daisy, Now and Alright. Genuinely some amazing songs on here, and well deserving of a spot in the collection. This one's an interesting one to bring up considering the time we are living in, which is The Incredible True Story. An amazing album, one that I don't think any other artist has made quite like it. This one does again open like it is a free LP, and then where you basically get like some of the blueprints, I believe Babel, or at least a spaceship they're on, and then well, I believe that's a spaceship they're on, and then that's Babel which they're on, and obviously I'm holding this super awkward, and then you have like Quentin Tarantino style-esque middle bit there. It's really weird because it actually opened, oh no, it makes sense, because when you open it, you then get the entirety of what the album cover is meant to look like. One of his more hated projects, but also one of my most expensive records in my collection, Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. I think there's some good stuff on it. I'm not going to go out my way to defend it though. What do I have to say about this album? Just look at my arm, alright? Look at my arm. Like really, this should have probably been the first album that I put on that wall, right there. Genuinely should have been it. Ooh, why did I do that? You can tell the time period when I was like getting into vinyl collecting, because I put the sticker on the actual thing itself. Ooh, old Ollie. You're giving me an ick. Oh well, at least I have the sticker. Not the time, it's not the time. Incredible artwork on the cover, incredible artwork on the back. We also have the only Bobby Tarantino album that actually has a vinyl record, and unfortunately it is the worst Bobby Tarantino in my opinion, although it also does have some of the better songs as well. I forgive him for it because it is literally just a project he made to get out of his contract with Def Jam, so it is what it is. And then we move into the more modern day era Logic, I guess is what you can call it, because we have Vinyl Days, obviously perfect record to have on vinyl. It isn't like a gatefold or anything, but that cover again does go hard. Christ, there are 30 tracks on this, and I believe that genuinely is a Logic project that doesn't have an actual skit on it. So I mean, Nardwuar I think is kind of one, but this album was such like a good release from Logic. Loved it. Okay, so then we have this one, right? And this is obviously College Park, and this one is actually a gatefold. Cover there, and then back cover there. Then we open it, and okay, to be fair, I spoke about the gatefolds earlier. That one's a good one. I give it that. I'm slightly confused with this record. I will explain why. Cannot forget to show you the record itself, because look at that gorgeous green. Absolutely beautiful splatter. Okay, so the quick thing about why I'm confused about this. This was actually, when I ordered it, it said signed. There's nothing on the front, is there? No. So basically, long story short, right, I ordered this, it said it was signed. I thought this was the signature, right? If it will show up on my face. Show you this. There you go, there's the signature there, if it actually wants to focus. But one of you told me it's not signed, that's just how the album comes. So I'm a bit confused if that's an actual signature, or if that's just like the design of the back cover. So if someone can actually tell me, I'd really appreciate it. And during this whole video, you've probably been able to see a little bit of a sneak peek of the latest record to add to my collection, which again is a Logic one, because we have, finally, after years, Ultra 85. And for a different reason what it might sound like, this has changed my perception on how vinyl releases should be done. It was not an intentional thing, but I got this about 2 days early, like 2 days before the album came out. And that has changed my whole perception on how artists should release their music. In a sense of like, if you're going to release a vinyl record, you should do something where if you order it, you may have a chance of getting it just like 2 days early. I think that should be a thing. And if I do ever get my music to a point where like it's actually listenable and actually is released on records, which that's a dream of mine, hopefully one day I can actually be good enough to do that. I would consider that as part of my like album launch thing, because there was something magical about putting this on without having it on streaming and just being able to listen to it for the first time on vinyl record. It was a magical experience. And it helps that the actual album was amazing as well. So this changed a bit of perception of mine in terms of how vinyl should be released, but obviously Ultra 85, beautiful album, and obviously, I've got the camera here, a beautiful coloured splattered disc as well. Then we have Drill Music in Zion by Lupe Fiasco. This was a great listen when I listened to it, and it was one night it was like, I want it on vinyl. So I've got it. So out of the L's and into the M's, Mac Miller Faces. This is a great album to get on vinyl record because it comes with so many different coloured inserts and whatnot. And this one is actually, it's yellow edition. How many is that? 1, 2. I'm just going to read the numbers out. 093624881391. That's the number of this edition, I think. And this was such a cool release to get. There's the back cover of it as well. Then continuing Mac Miller, we do have the Best Day Ever album, and this one was super fun project to listen to. And another one I got in Brighton as well, actually. Got it from a place called The Residence. That's what the place is called. Recommend them as well. And I have seen recently there has been a re-release of this with like a purple disc, which does look really cool, but I think I'm happy with this one as it is. And I have a whole video dedicated to this next one, which is watching movies with the sound off. This is the 10th anniversary edition. Highly recommend this one to anyone who hasn't got this, and go and check out that video if you want to actually have a look at how it actually comes across. Then finally, this is another one that features in one of my other videos, but basically this is the 5th anniversary of swimming, and this, honestly, I think this is one of my favorites. I can't say if it is the favorite in my collection, but it's up there, man. Like, just look at this. Look at the way they present the vinyl record itself and the color of it. Absolutely beautiful. You cannot go wrong with that. I think this one's still available. It might be harder to find at this point, but if you do see it, I highly recommend getting it because this is so beautifully done. Obviously, I mentioned about the 10th anniversary edition as well. That's another one of my favorite records I've got in my collection, but the anniversary editions they are making for Mac Miller are super well done and quite representative of his legacy. So this next one is a really cool alternate cover of Metro's Heroes vs. Villains. Such a great cover, this one. There's a bit of a better look at it, but it's literally like you just pulled out a comic book. Looks so awesome. And again, one of the best albums of last year, definitely worthy of being on record. There's the back of it as well. Do kind of want to get the actual OG, like original cover for it, but this one will do. Then we have MF Doom, and this is Food. This one, go and check out my Instagram if you want to see the whole thing. A little bit of a sneaky promo there. This was again another one I got in Brighton from my latest trip, and I would highly recommend you go and check it out. Again, this is another rap essential. I think MF Doom might be the most essential person to all rappers to have in your collection, because then you have Mad Villainy. Great album. This next section is actually going to be another speed run because this is another artist I really want to make a video on, and that is NAS. And the first one, this is another one essentially everyone needs to have. Illmatic. Not sure how many years, but I do know this was, I think this is an anniversary edition. Either that or it's just a special edition where you basically get a transparent vinyl within it. My latest NAS pickup, which is God's Son. This one actually has a blue record that it comes with, which I'll be happy to show you. At least a little snippet of with this beautiful blue. And those are really the only ones I have from like NAS is like early development or like basically anything before 2020, because then what really got me into NAS was the 2020 stuff with his Magic series and his King's Disease series. I don't think there's a better run in this sort of decade so far than what NAS has done. So we have Magic 1 here, which has an Obi strip. Magic 2, which again has another Obi strip, and oh, why have I put it in that way? Because this one, you'll need to go back and check the video out where I did get this one, because the vinyl that comes with it is beautiful. Or maybe you'll just have to wait until I make my NAS video to see it. And then we find ourselves with Magic number 3, and this one, again, I think it comes with a different vinyl disc. Oh wait, oh yeah, no, it does. Sticking with the theme of the album. a nice little black and white. Actually, you know what? No, I think I was about to say that I feel like that Magic 3 might have been like the weaker one out of the entire Magic series, but I actually think Magic 2 is the one that sort of stands out the least to me. Magic 3, I listen to a lot more than Magic 2. Then moving into King's Disease with King's Disease #1, which, look at that cover. That is insane. And then we have the album that just put me onto NAS with King's Disease 2. I remember when I first listened to this project and I was dumbfounded. I was on the way back from like a family holiday or something, and just something just popped up on my Spotify, and I was just sort of like looking through the latest releases or something like that, and I saw this illuminated orange cover, and I was like, you know what, I've heard good things about NAS. I'm just gonna give this album a listen. And this album, holy shit. This might be my favourite NAS project that I've listened to. Holy fuck, it's a good album. The Pressure was such a great intro to start off. You have Nobody featuring Miss Lauryn Hill. You're not going to go wrong with a Lauryn Hill feature. EPMD 2 featuring Eminem. Death Row East, and then it has A Moment of Silence with Tupac passing away. Brunch on Sundays is such a great song. This is a no-skip album for me. This is a perfect NAS album. Holy fuck, I love it. And then finally, we have King's Disease #3, and I believe this is another one that, yeah, it does. This is another one that does have limited edition vinyl record with it. If you're gonna ask me which of the series I prefer out of Magic and King's Disease, just look at how I spoke about King's Disease 2. Absolutely love it. And I think those ones kind of like, to me, Magic as a series feels more like a mixtape style of thing, whereas King's Disease feels more like full out albums, if that makes sense. Right, we all had an NF phase. I got it on vinyl one time. That's not me saying NF's bad at all, by the way, but I believe this was like a cheap £10 pickup is going to be my excuse for getting it. And holy fuck, this is one of those projects that I am super glad to have on vinyl, but also super unfortunate of how I came across the music, because I only found out about him after his death, and that was Nipsey Hussle with Victory Lap. Fuck, this is a good album. I genuinely might be listening to this one tomorrow, actually. I forgot how good it was. Like, when you look at a track list and you like can hear the songs, that's a sign of a brilliant album. And fuck it, I'm gonna say it, this is an essential album to get on vinyl. It might be a bit more of an unconventional pick, but you'll realise why I say that when you listen to it. Which then brings us on to Outkast. And I can say it properly this time instead of when I first got it, and that's Aquemini, which comes with 3 very limited edition discs, which is, like, off memory, a yellow, green and blue. Oh no, I've got it wrong. There's the yellow. There's the pink, which is the one I got wrong. And then there is the green. This is one, you can see it on the bottom of the thing there. The logo that is right here is where I got this record from. And I'm just going to say, Get On Down Records, that's also where I got that Logic album from, and the reason why I got it basically 2 days early. I've also recently picked up a Biggie record in there, or from Get On Down, and genuinely they have some really like good, they're basically a hip hop focused record store, which I highly recommend to you if you haven't come across it before, because they have some great limited edition stuff, and this Outkast record was one of the ones I got from there. Now, probably my favourite Outkast album, Speakerbox and The Love Below, essentially a double album. Like this, when I open this up, it just screams 2000s. And I love it for it. I mean, if you're gonna look at the music that came out in the 2000s, you can't leave Outkast out of the conversation. A spectacular album such albums to have on record, so really happy with this one. Outkast is like generally one of my favourite acts in hip hop. And then I believe the final Outkast one I have in my collection, which is Stank On Ya. Such a great listen, and also this has Miss Jackson on it. That's enough said there. One of the best songs of all time. So from the letter O to the letter P, we then have Post Malone with Stoney. This was one of like the first albums that I kind of got in my collection as well when I was starting out. I love this album. This is truly a great album in my opinion, and you cannot beat it. I don't know, am I remembering right or wrong? I remembered right. I generally thought it wasn't an orange, but it's an orange disc. Oh my god. Sorry, I genuinely forgot it was actually a coloured disc, this one. That's so much better. But like, if you want to ask me a question about Post Malone, this is the definition of peaking too early. I think he has grown as an artist, don't get me wrong, but this is my favourite Post Malone album. And I would debate about putting it in like at least my top 5 albums of all time. Which then brings me on to Beer Pongs and Bentleys. This was actually a project that took me a while to get into. I listened to it when it first came out in 2018, and maybe it was just because of the time period, or maybe because I had like loved Stoney so much that I didn't feel like this one really lived up to it. But I went back to it in like, I'm gonna say like 2022, and I forgave it because it is actually such a good listen. It's more of like an album I'd put on to just vibe to, which like I guess you could say about Stoney, but I'd say that in a kind of different way. Like I feel like I'd vibe to Stoney to get into the feels. This one I'd vibe to just like chill out. I think that's a good way of describing it. And this project is kind of mad just with, honestly, the randomness of it. I actually think they might be a clear disc as well. I've completely forgotten my vinyl records are posty. But nonetheless, a pretty sick one to still have in there. You could probably make a drinking game out of the phrases I'm repeating. I do apologise if I seem a bit repetitive. I know how long this video is going on right now, so I'm trying not to waste too much time, but I'm trying to add some commentary to my records as well. So leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And then we get ourselves Hollywood is Bleeding. I'll be real, I didn't really listen to this project too much. Eventually did. It was fine listen, and actually because of a pink disc, which is actually a really nice pink if I'm being real. I don't want to like compare Post Malone to Eminem or anything, but I don't know why every time I think of this album, obviously it has the word Hollywood in it, but it does remind me of the song Eminem did with Say Goodbye to Hollywood off the Eminem show, and it feels like if you took that song and put it on an album. That's what I feel like with this album. It may not have any correlation to that song, but that's just where my mind goes and how my mind works. Then I do have an unopened one, which is this one, and it's basically got, I believe it's like supposed to be a red disc with then like a white toothpick mark on there is essentially what that's supposed to be. And obviously this is 12 karat toothache. I've got to be real, I don't think I've ever listened to this. I will say, I think this was more of a pickup that I got because I was almost like, well, I've got 3 of the Post Malone albums, I may as well get another one. It was also a Black Friday deal, so I kind of thought it was a good time to pick it up. So yeah, it's there. So now we're getting into a bit more soundtrack territory, which is Stranger Things Season 4. This was the series, like weirdly enough, I started Stranger Things with Season 4, and the music on it, amazing. Obviously you have Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush, but you also get a hell of a lot of great other songs on there as well. Love the Master of Puppets one that was in there as well. So there's a little bit of a memory of listening to watching Stranger Things, I should say. Feel like I had to add this, and I don't think there's really going to be another video where I'm going to really cover this record in my collection at all. But there is like basically a blood red vinyl that comes with it, which you get right there. And we're sticking in the S territory, but one of the ones that I'm kind of trying to build up in my collection is basically a Spider-Man collection, and the first one is the first Spider-Man film, and I've recently seen they've actually released a Spider-Man 2 vinyl quite recently, so I might be looking to get that at some point, maybe next payday, so I can add that into my Spider-Man collection. But this one is actually a gold disc that comes with it. This was again another one I was able to pick up during the Black Friday sales, and this might actually have, like, if you saw the video when I got this might actually have my favourite back cover, because my reaction to that in that video was quite amazing. But look at that, that is a gorgeous back cover. Like, if I were to genuinely put this on the wall, I wouldn't put it that way, I would genuinely put this up there, so then it's just like that, even though it's quite dark to see there. But I think that's such a cool image right there. So there's Spider-Man number 1. And then we kind of jump into this. You could probably argue I should put this in the Metro Booming section, but this is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse with the villain variant of the vinyl. I've said the story a couple of times on the channel before, but I nearly didn't get this one and I was very upset not to get it. Basically, long story short, I ordered it, they cancelled my order because apparently payment didn't go through. Never got like an email telling me that payment had failed, and I thought I wasn't going to get it. Then suddenly I was able to, and it came with this glorious disc as well. I'm not going to show the other disc because it's not as impactful as that one. As I kind of referred to it, it looks like spilt milk, which can also look like something else. But regardless, still a pretty cool record to add to the collection, and probably one of my most favourite ones. At the very least, I'll say it's my favourite soundtrack in my collection, and it proves because I don't just have one. I actually have 2. This is the picture disc that they released. It's got all the same music on it, but you get some funky pictures on there. I kind of got this one as a bit of a substitute for missing out on that record I've just shown, but it's still a cool one to have in there as well. So moving out of the Spiderman collection, we're now moving into the Scissor collection, and this is obviously Control. This was one of my later pickups, and this one actually comes with a green variant disc. You can actually kind of see through it if I just show you. I'll just show you that. And there is the gatefold when you open it up. And then we have this one, which was actually promoted as a limited edition run, which was basically SOS, and I love the cover on this one and the music on it. Obviously you have Kill Bill, which is a big standout, but this one's such a vibe as well. Such a good album. Scissor is one of the better artists of this generation in my opinion, and nothing too special about the record, but I do like the way they've done the SOS on it. And look, it's another sticker. I feel like the longer I go into this video, the more mentally unstable I'm becoming, as well as looking. Look at that fucking sweat. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to say we're in the final stretch of this video. We're nearly there. And to start us out with the final stretch, we have Tyler, the Creator with Wolf. I do have a YouTube short on this one, so go check that out if you want to see the whole thing. Then continuing Tyler, the Creator, we do have Flower Boy. I believe it came out in 2017, but again, one of the best albums in 2017. And this is one that if you walk into any Urban Outfitters, you're going to find it. It's definitely one of those sort of essential ones that you're going to come across, or it's at least one that you've probably got in your collection if we're being real. Which then brings me on to probably what a lot of people would call their favorite Tyler, the Creator album. Wouldn't really say that for me. Igor just wasn't my vibe, and this was another one I got during Black Friday. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I do like the way it does do a circle though, in terms of when you listen to the music and how it, like, the whole cycle it ends up repeating. I think that's such a cool detail. But then after Igor, we basically got Call Me If You Get Lost, and this one was the one that kind of like, it's more my Tyler that I like to listen to. There's the inside of it. There is a, like, I think they call it the estate version, that basically comes with like a blue record disc that matches the the outfit he's wearing, and then comes with like some other random bits. This is just the regular edition, but still a really cool. Ooh, okay, then we have Pusha T. I don't think I know the alphabet. How did I go onto Tyler, the Creator before Pusha T? I'm sorry if there's any mix up in how the chapters have gone. Pusha T's in here, there's only 2 of them. So we have Daytona, and as short of an album as it is, it's incredible. Obviously Kanye produced it, only 8 tracks, but they're 8 tracks of bangers. What I could call a 2018, yeah, a 2018 classic. Which we then follow up with Pusha T with It's Almost Dry. And as you can see, we have a signed little thing from Pusha T. Saw that on recordstore.com and thought, that's worth the pickup. Add it to the collection. Good album as well. But the signed bit, it was a good incentive. Which then leaves us with my final artist in this collection, and that is The Weeknd, starting off with Starboy. This one actually is a red disc. Again, this one might be a little bit more of a speed run because I would like to make a Weeknd dedicated video one day. But yeah, it's a nice red disc there. And this again would probably be one that I'd call like an essential pickup, because when I first came across this album, holy shit. That's all I'll say. Next up we have After Hours, and this is actually a limited edition one. It comes with a splatter vinyl, and this is basically a clear record, and I love how the material is and how they've done it. A clear record, and then you have the splatter effect, which is supposed to represent blood, which if you've seen all the music videos The Weeknd was doing at that time, you understand why that's sort of incorporated there. And this was truly the album that got me into The Weeknd, from the marketing, from the music videos to the music itself. It was an amazing time to listen to The Weeknd, and I think the perfect album to get someone into The Weeknd like me who hadn't really listened to him before. So then we have this edition of House of Balloons. This was basically like a special edition made by a certain artist who I forget the name of. Daniel Arsham, I believe that's how you say it, but this album is super clean, and also you get a lot of transparent records that kind of come across very, I'm not going to say tacky, but they don't really feel, they feel a bit cheap, I guess is what I should say. But if I take it out of its sleeve, it looks like crystal clear. It is actually amazing the way they produce this record. And this one is up there as one of my more expensive ones that is in the collection. From the most expensive records video I did, when I included this one, the price point was about $250 or $280. There is some value to this one, but I think it's such a beautiful take on House of Balloons, and it just like, it's a great cover to add to it as well. So a nice limited edition variant, I guess. And this now brings me on to Dawn FM, and this is again a limited edition one. There were like 2 variants of it, I believe, and this was like one of them. So in total there were like 3 different colours, and this was the one I went for. I just really liked the style of it. Obviously Dawn FM is very 80s inspired, and I sort of got that vibe from the cover here. I can't remember what cover it reminds me of, but weirdly I want to say cover by Rush, but I could be wrong about that. For when you open it up, there you see Inside the Mind. And is there a limited thing to this disc, or is it just black? No, it's just a nice plain old black disc, which nothing wrong with. But this one, I love the concept too. Basically, essentially, you're in limbo, moving on to the afterlife, or the journey going there, having Jim Carrey on the radio, whatever. I think it's such a great interpretation of an album, or a great concept put into an album format, and I haven't listened to this one in a while. I feel like this one would actually be quite a good listen on a vinyl player, so I might actually have to go and listen to this one at some point on that fairly soon, because it's been a long time since I've listened. Next up, not an overly drastic one, I guess is the word, but we have the highlights. This one I actually wasn't going to get at all, but then I was just sort of like in a record store one day, and I sort of saw it and I was like, you know what, I want to have a bit of a Weeknd collection going on, which you kind of see I've got a little bit going. I clearly need a few more of the albums, but it'll be a nice one to add to it. Why not get it? I don't feel like we really see a lot of like essentially the greatest hits albums anymore, so to see the Weeknd bring this one out is, a lot of people might see it as a bit pointless. I think it's good to still be able to put that sort of stuff out there, at least for the artists to sort of say, here's some of my favourite songs that I made. Finally, we have reached the final record in my collection. Thank you very much for watching so far. Let's end it off with a good one, and that is still with the Weeknd, and that is a record day exclusive, and one that I didn't think I was going to be able to pick up. But here we have the Live at SoFi record store day exclusive. You can see the 3 LPs in there. We also have the record store day exclusive sticker, and it opens 3 ways with some great shots from the actual show itself. There is how it looks all together, and here's how it looks from the back. I think this one will probably be another one worth listening on record, because getting that live experience will probably be really cool to listen through that. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my entire vinyl record collection 2024. I'll be honest, there are a couple I haven't shown you because I'm saving for certain videos, and also there'll be some by the time that this video is live that I'm sure will arrive here, but for now that's everything that I've got up until August of 2024. If you want to click off the video now, go for it. I'm going to do a little bit of admin, then it will go into the whole YouTube 1000 message that I want to give you guys. A little bit of admin I want to sort of just throw in here. I hope this video has been good. Apologies if it didn't come out the best. I have tried what I can with it in terms of showing you. I hope I've kind of like not just gone, here's a vinyl, 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 here's a vinyl. I have tried to add commentary where it works. There might be some that I've shown in here but I didn't show enough of. What I may end up doing to kind of make up for that is go through eventually trying to make YouTube shorts going forward that sort of like show each one in a bit more depth, or at least so you can see everything that's included in it. I will also say this was filmed on 2 separate days, so apologies if there was a little bit of miscontinuity in terms of probably more so the lighting. I am still wearing the same t-shirt, so hopefully it wasn't too noticeable. Also, I just want to say I'm genetically quite sweaty. I'm also overweight, so that doesn't help, but I'm very sweaty, and it's been really hot in the UK recently, and genuinely, when I record for a long amount of time, I am just going to get sweatier in my room. Hope that's not too much information or anything, but I do just want to say I apologise for how my hair might look as well, because I don't like it. But I am getting a haircut on Saturday, so that'll be good. So hopefully in the next video you see, I'll actually look a bit more presentable and hopefully not like a sweat monster. So this variant of Ollie showing his whole vinyl collection, I'm going to disappear now because it's currently 10 o'clock at night and I'm tired. I'm going to get the other variant of Ollie to do the special 1000 subscriber thank you message. So thank you for watching. Enjoy this message from the other Ollie. Thank you very much, Ollie, and thank you very much to every single one of you who pressed that subscribe button, who have watched the YouTube video of mine, who have left a like, who have left a comment, who have shared a video. It genuinely means the world to me. I'll be real with you, this is my second time trying to film this section. I'm kind of like struggling to say the words for how I exactly feel about this whole thing and hitting this goal. And I think a big part of that is because I've been doing YouTube, in case you don't know my backstory. I've been doing it since about 2013, where I was about 12 or 13. And to now be here in 2024 at the age of 23, it kind of feels mad that I've actually hit the goal of 1,000, which was a number I have been trying to hit for a long time. There have been times on this channel where I've been uploading, stopped, went and tried to make it a different channel, went and just disappeared and didn't create content for a little while, but at the end of the day, I would always come back in some form. And one of the things that I will throw in here is like, there's obviously like this connotation with YouTube where you get to a point and then you can start making money with YouTube. I'm not actually at that point yet, I want to point out. But I think there's a lot of people who kind of like, they go into YouTube creating content with that goal in mind. For me, whilst it would be incredible to have this as my career or as like something that I do as a job to earn money from, I would absolutely love that. You would be stupid if you didn't. That was never the driving factor of me creating content. I love content creation. I've been like, you cannot tell me that you do the amount of time I've done on YouTube, quitting, coming back, doing all that, just because you're trying to earn money. Every single video I've made, no matter how bad it was, I enjoyed the process of creating it, and I loved being able to put it out there for people to either hate or love. Maybe love's too strong a word, at least like to some extent. But finally, after all these years of trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, I feel like we found it finally, and that is obviously with vinyl collecting, particularly hip hop and rap vinyl records. This is just a random thought that's kind of come to me, and I don't want to like jinx anything at all, but like, there is a part of me that feels a bit completed now we've hit 1,000 subs. Like, don't get me wrong, I know like 10,000 is probably like the next goal that I will end up going for, and it was kind of like, I was even speaking to my mate Lambo, like, I was almost saying to him, like, what's the next goal? Is it going to be 2,000 subscribers? Is it going to be 5,000? Is it going to be 10,000? And end of the day, I don't really feel a sense of caring about what goal's next. I think I've been after this goal for so long that it almost feels like if I hit 10,000, that would be amazing. But I don't feel like I'll feel the sense of completion that I have felt with this. Like, I could be completely wrong about that. This might be living in the moment too much, but like, there's just something going on there that just like in my own head, I'm trying to figure out how I'm feeling right now. And I don't want to do like, this will be a very like deep cut reference for any of you. I don't want to do a Zack Ryder where I win the IC title and then be like, oh, this could end tomorrow and I'll be happy to hang it up. Like, I do kind of feel that in a way of like, I feel like I could stop doing YouTube tomorrow and I'd still be happy, but that isn't what I'm gonna look to do. I am going to keep making content for you because I enjoy doing it, as I've already said. I know I haven't been like the most consistent person on YouTube. Like, granted, last year I think I put out like, I'm going to say like probably around about like 10 videos. I probably need to double check that, but this year I've definitely been on it in terms of like, I'm going to say on average there have at least been like 3 videos a month, which is a good record for me. However, I feel like it does need to be improved. Like, the last video I put out before this was the rough trade video, and that was like currently from the time I'm recording about 7 to 8 days ago. And I really do want to get a bit more on track with like having 1 video a week ready for you guys, and also on top of that adding like YouTube shorts in there. Want to get more active on the YouTube not the YouTube side, the Instagram side of things. Go and check me out at the Veggie Vinyl Guy on Instagram. So like, when it comes to me, like, one of the real things I wanted to like kind of set for myself when I did hit 1,000 is to kind of take it more seriously, I guess. So being more consistent, having that 1 video ready a week, having at least a short or 2 ready to go out per week, posting on the Instagram. I want to be able to be a lot more consistent for you guys, so you kind of like, you know, say this isn't going to be the exact case. I may look to do this, I may not, but like, you know, as you come to the channel on, let's say, a Wednesday night at 7 PM, there'll be a new video for you to watch. I would like that to be the case. There's a lot of like external factors, particularly with my own work life, that kind of like gets in the way of that, but I think I also need to stop making excuses and really aim to like make an effort to, instead of coming home and just going on the PlayStation with my mates for a while, come home, record a video, maybe edit a video, and then go on there if I have some spare time. That's really what I need to start putting my focus towards, if I'm being completely real with you. Because you guys have done more than you realise to help support me, and I want to keep like, not supporting you, I want to keep providing you guys with good content regularly. So that is a kind of like goal of mine now. I've hit 1,000. So that's for you guys to kind of like kick me up the ass to make sure I'm staying on top of it, alright? Now something I want to do to sort of like give back to you guys is I'm gonna open a Discord channel for you guys. It's gonna be like just somewhere where you can get updates for the videos, we can all chat as a community, sort of hang out, and yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. It's something I have tried doing in the past when I was growing on Twitch. However, I want this to be a bit more like obviously vinyl record focus and be a place where we can just talk and hang out and chill and chat about music. That's what this place is really supposed to be. Send any type of meme, whatever it is. I kind of want to like have that going on this Discord channel, which you can join in the description down below. I'll also put a pinned comment as well. I'm also making a promise right now. I'm not gonna do what I did on my previous Discord channel, which was every time a video is going out, I'm adding everyone. I think that's super annoying, but there will be a channel that sort of like goes through my latest uploads and you just jump in there just to check if there is a new upload. So if you do want to join, you're obviously not obligated. It is in the description, it is in the comments. Go there and you'll be able to join pretty easily. I'll be slowly updating it and implementing like new features to the Discord thing. I haven't used Discord properly in a little while, so I've got a couple of kinks and whatnot to figure out about it. Another thing I do want to start looking at doing again is Twitch. This is something I did in like 2021 and it was going so well at the time, and it was like I was starting to get somewhere with it a bit, and I just had a lot of fun streaming and just chatting with people, and I want that to be another place where I can like talk to you guys about music a bit more in depth, or just talk about anything else that we're interested in and we just want to like discuss, just playing a video game, a movie that's come out. I just want to like have it a place to just be more chill and just vibe more than anything. And whilst that is something I really want to do, I need to get like some form of actual setup before I like properly like go into like Twitch. So you don't get me wrong, YouTube is going to have my majority of my attention, so don't worry. But just to let you know, Twitch is something I am looking into. So finally, I just need to say a massive thank you to a lump sum of random people, okay? Some of them you guys should know, some of them you're not gonna have a fucking clue. So I have a list of people I need to thank in terms of like my YouTube journey. So those people are Ellie, Lambo, Versatile Variety, Charlie, Vinyl Dude, Luke Klaus / Upson, man, you need to come back and make some content, Whatism / Nick, Mr. Bio / Kyle, XLHD / Dan, Syndicate, Wrestle Talk, Only G Will, MX, Joe, Jack, Jordan, Jasper, and then finally my dad. Apologies if I missed anyone out. These are just like the main people who I felt have had an impact on my YouTube channel to some extent or another. Thank you to any of you who are still watching at this point in the video. Genuinely means a lot. And obviously a huge thank you to every single one of you. Like, that list didn't include any commenters, but there is a list of you guys as well who I should thank as well. But I'm just going to include you guys in this thing when I say thank you. You guys know who you are. So here's to many more years of creating content. Thank you very much again. I shall see you in the next one very soon. Later.